up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Super Gamer Boys. I'm your host, Colonel, and most handsome dad, Garrett Morlang. And here in the virtual studio with me is the king of video games and pocket poppy, Adrian, homeboy Holmes. What's going up with you?
Nothing much, man. I am just so glad to be back. It feels like it's been an eternity since we've done this.
It seriously does. The last 2 months, really, we've had way too many off, like we've had to skip too many episodes between skipping because of sickness or travel or just pure exhaustion. We've both gone through a lot of transition lately, like for me, like with the job and like life stuff for us. As just like both of us, it's like, man, it's been hard to be consistent with the podcast. Let me tell you,
it's been, this being alive stuff. Sometimes takes a lot out of you.
Takes a lot out of you. You know. Oh man.
Good grief.
It's good to be back. Yeah, it seriously feels like a million years, even though we only skipped like 1 week. But I think it's because it's just been so inconsistent for like 2 months now. It's like it's compounding where it's like, oh, it makes it feel a lot longer. But we're doing it. We're here. Although I told Adrian before the show, I'm like, Adrian, I'm afraid I'm getting sick again. I'm like, my throat is kind of scratchy a little bit. I'm like, I just got better. Just last week, I just got better. I can't go back. I can't do it again.
I'm on whatever this is. I feel like I am on the absolute tail end of it. So remember when you and I were dying at the same time?
Yeah.
And we did that episode? Yeah. I think whatever that is, I am like 99.8. right there. And you saying that you're getting ready, that you feel a tickle coming back is terrifying to me. Please don't do that.
I mean, that's the curse.
I can't take it again.
2 children. That's when you have kids, it's almost guaranteed this time of year, you're just constantly sick. Like everyone just takes turns. Like you just pass the baton around, and it's my turn again, apparently. So I'm not loving that.
Well,
but so
you signed. That's what you signed up for.
Throw a prayer up for me that I do not get sick, because
of course
I do
whatever I can do to help.
I do not want it at all.
Now if you get it again, it might go quicker because your immune system is like already on 300%. It's up, guards up. You know what I mean?
So. I also can't really afford to miss work right now. I finally have a job, and the last thing I want is to be like, I'm sick all the time. Sorry, I can't. I mean, last time I just fought through it. I was sick, and I just pumped myself with a bunch of cold medicine and a bunch of ibuprofen, and that was great.
And pushed on. That's all you can do.
So much ibuprofen, and now it's like, oh man, do I have to do this again? Hopefully not.
Do what you got to do, man. Do what you got to do.
I want to give a shout out to Giving Kittens in the chat. I see him over there on Twitch.
What? It's been a minute.
He says, what's up? I've not seen you all in a while. I just want to give a shout out because he is releasing, or has released, I don't remember what date it was, a game.
Really?
Yeah, just a couple days ago, he released a new trailer. It's set for November 1st. You should go all wish list Home Domes on Steam. And then there's a
so you're
demo.
telling
you can
me
play it.
You're telling me he knows micro members of the gaming industry press, and here we are, codeless.
I mean,
what?
Yeah, I mean, there's a demo out there.
I know.
We could just play the demo.
Can I give him a little crap? Can I give him a little crap? You know what I mean?
You give a little crap if you. That's fine. I'm just saying, like, there's a demo available as well, which I installed.
No, but of course, congratulations, man. It's huge. You know.
Oh, he says he's distributing them right now. So, I mean.
I mean, squeaky wheel gets the grease, you know?
There you go. You don't even have...
I totally would have bought it, by the way.
You don't even have a PC. You don't even have a PC to play it on. What are you talking about?
I do have a PC. It's sitting right here. It's just not on.
Okay, all right.
I have a PC.
Oh, man. You're a Mac boy over there.
I mean, I was going to say, given if you want to, put it on other platforms, feel free, but...
iOS? Coming to iOS next?
Is it really?
No, I don't know. I'm asking. Oh, man. Speaking of iOS, we're way off topic here tonight because it's been a minute.
We're talking about games.
Apple Intelligence came out today. I joined the wait list thinking it was going to be like a long wait, and then like 30 minutes later, they're like, "You're in." I'm like, "You're in." Sweet, all right.
I've been going through photos like crazy. Get this person out of here. Get this person out of here. Get that guy in the background out of here. And remove this tree. It's going nuts with it.
So I need to look into like what the features actually are. I missed the whole presentation where they talked about Apple Intelligence. That was like whatever the most recent one was, and so I just remember like seeing the ads about it, or the email from Apple, like, hey, we have our new AI, Apple Intelligence, blah blah blah. I'm like, I wasn't really interested in it at first, but then you were like, hey, update, it's available. So now I need to look into like, okay, what can I actually do with this? What does Apple AI do? So
this update is like the front lines, right? This is like the most immediate stuff that you can get. The meat and potato stuff is coming in the next version, the 18.2. So this is kind of like to get you jumped into and get you familiar with kind of like how the flow of Apple Intelligence works.
I see.
And that way, when the next one comes in, they can hit you with the heavy stuff. Here comes the Chat GPT integration, and the generate your own pictures and emojis and all that kind of stuff. So they're doing it in stages. So
very cool.
But I'm looking forward to it.
Back to what we were talking about. Yeah, Giving Kittens, new game called Home Domes coming out this Friday. You should go wishlist it. I don't think you can pre-order, but throw in your wishlist on Steam. Play the demo. Check it out. He says if the game does good, then I can try to figure out other platforms. So everyone needs to play it so we can get it on Nintendo Switch too, maybe?
Maybe. Switch. You could be one of the first. Look, Given, if you can figure out a way to get your game on the Switch 2 store off the jump, no, I'm being dead serious. A lot of games, because it wasn't a whole lot on the Switch eShop when it first came out, that's how they blew up. It's because it was like, what are you going to play, me or nothing else? You know what I mean?
I'm sure it's not just like export as Switch game though, and like the game.
No, of course not. But I'm saying,
and so he can't develop for it until the Switch 2 comes out.
But imagine, no, he can get. I think you can figure out a way to get a dev kit. But also, people are saying it's not going to come out till like late next year, so that's a lot of time.
A solo indie developer gets a dev kit. I don't know about that. I feel like you'd have to be more.
What do you do? Do you think people?
Nothing against kittens. Nothing against kittens. It's more just like I don't see Nintendo just handing out freaking dev kits to Joe Schmo. Like,
I believe in you. Don't let Garrett talk you down. I think you can do it.
No, I said nothing personal against him. It's just in general. Like, unless you have proven games on like Switch, they're probably not handing out their top. They can't even. We're going to be talking about it later on the show. They can't even keep people's lips shut about freaking online playtests. They're not just throwing consoles around to people to develop stuff.
That's fair.
Kitten says the last dev kit I saw for sale was about $30,000, and they don't just give them away to people, especially without high sales. Exactly. Yeah. So if this is his first game, he's got to prove himself. So yeah, if he gets some high sales, maybe they will. All right. We should probably get on the show here eventually.
Let's do it.
Today, we're talking about Sakurai's new game Tease. Nintendo's secret playtest leaks immediately, and the day before dev claims they'll do better this time. But first, let's give a quick shout out to our Patreon producers, Bumble Smash and Gajoma01, and our Super Gamer sponsors, Julie Bates, Mama Mare, Carrie, and David Matthews. If you want to be awesome just like those folks, head over to patreon.com/supergamerboys where you can support us starting at just $1 a month. That's right, $1 each and every month gets you episodes early and ad-free. As well as access to Patreon exclusive shows such as Super Later Boys and early seasons of Super Gamer Book Club. Go check it out. We appreciate the support. We'll talk more about that, the other tiers later on in the show. But first, before we really move on, I want to give a massive shout out to Jack Sriracha, Yate, and DJ Trooz for allowing us to use their music on the show. Tonight, we're listening to Jack Sriracha and Yate. You can find a link to their music in the show description if you're watching on YouTube or listening on podcast apps later. Click that link, listen to them on Apple Music and Spotify, or search them up, add them to your playlist if you're looking for some nice chill tunes. And with that, it's now time to check the mail.
Load them on up, my good man.
So Super Game Bot still on vacay.
This is their last week.
We'll see. I feel like they've said that before.
They only put in a PTO request for the month of October. This is the last Monday in October that there is. So they have to be back, or we're gonna have a serious discussion and have to, see about maybe looking into one of those Tesla bots. Okay.
The Tesla bots or Apple Intelligence.
Oh, you know what?
Drama.
You know what?
Drama. The Super Gamer Bot getting replaced by Apple
both
Intelligence.
Just down. You know what? They better act right when they get back here.
Oh,
shoot.
No. Oh, I hope they're not listening to this because
Apple's coming for your job, GamerBot. You better report in on Monday.
Oh man. All right. This first question comes to us from Kajoma. They write in, stealing Hophead Ed's bit and asking, what are y'all's Mount Rushmore video game soundtracks? Been listening to so much video game music during studying this week, so I'm curious. Mine would probably be, this is Kajoma answering, mine would probably be Halo 2, Destiny, Minecraft, and Spiritfarer. Although I haven't played it yet, just listened to the music a lot.
Destiny's an interesting choice.
What's that?
I said Destiny is an interesting choice.
Yeah. Because when I think Destiny, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm just,
okay.
No, I'm just thinking I'm right there with you. Like with Destiny, I don't know if I could. I don't know one song from that. Not that I have played a ton of it, but I played a bit of it. There was like a good few month. All right, I can't talk tonight. Earlier I had.
You've had 2 weeks. There's no excuses.
Earlier I had a slip up, and Adrian was like, "What? What did you just say?" Throat. I said throat. No.
Don't give them the clue. I was gonna let you live it down.
I don't know. I have no idea. There was like a few month stint where I did play some Destiny and kind of got into it for a while with Destiny 2. But again, I don't think I could ever tell if someone played some music is this from Destiny or not? I'd be like, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. So it's an interesting choice to me because I don't think of Destiny for the music. I feel like I don't hear a lot of other people talk about the music, but maybe I'm just ignorant, which is probably the case. Adrian, do you have
yes, sir.
Your Mount Rushmore picked out?
I do. My Mount Rushmore of video game music that I can 100% be like, yes, these are the best of all time, or some of the best of all time, because I only had to pick 4. First one would definitely be Earthbound. Earthbound to this day, I think is a masterclass in a game soundtrack. It is so eclectic, and the fact that it was able to just basically push the SNES to the limit of using samples and just these weird arrangements that somehow all come together to work in the end, and they're all so eclectic. No one track sounds like the other. Absolutely phenomenal work. So that would be my first. My second would be Persona 4 / Persona 4 Golden. There is not a song on that soundtrack that is not a banger. Coming all the way down to the Junes store jingle, and people who have played Persona 4 know exactly what I'm talking about. It is 5 is a great soundtrack. 3 is a great soundtrack. Persona 5 and 3. This is above both of them. Okay. That's how good this soundtrack is. Especially the when you have, I can't even say what context it is, but there's a stage later in the game where you have to go and save a character in the story, we'll say, who's been kidnapped, and it's a slow ballad, and it's just chef's kiss. I mean, all the songs, man. Just even the hangout song where you hang out with people and build up your social links, like you're going out to eat or you're going out to work your after school job. It's just it perfectly encapsulates that feeling of like you're just spending the afternoon with people you care about, doing what you love, you know? Mm-hmm. And they just do such a great job at that. My third would probably have to be Transistor. It is not only my favorite Supergiant game, but it's my favorite Supergiant soundtrack. Ashley just bodied it from top to bottom as Red, and the compositions are just, I love that soundtrack so much. I have it. I have the CD. She signed my CD. I met her at Day of the Devs. I'm pretty sure I've told this story a million times.
Dang, that's awesome.
But yeah, I adore Transistor. It is one of my favorite games of all time. It is my favorite Supergiant game, which is saying something because everybody, if you know me, as far as indies go, they are my favorite independent studio. Yeah. They so far have released nothing that's short of a 10 for me. So that's my 3. And then for my 4th, I'm kind of torn. Between Metroid Prime, the first Metroid Prime, which for me, as far as atmospheric setting the mood, is probably neck and neck with Super Metroid. I don't think there's any other game that can make you feel like you're wandering a space on your own and exploring and trying to figure things out between those two games. So it would either be Metroid Prime for me, or it might be God of War 2018.
Oh yeah. It is very good, very emotional.
It's so good when the unexpected swells of music in God of War come in. I don't know if you ever like just listen to the soundtrack as on its own, just the album, and then you pair it with, like, you go back in your mind and you remember the context of when these moments hit, and just how, like, sometimes they're at the end of a very traumatic or heavy scene, or you're in a hero moment with Kratos and the music just kind of swells to help with that impact.
So good. That's very good.
So good. You know what? I think I'm gonna do like you're getting ready to do. I didn't want to reveal your card, unfortunately, but I think I'm gonna do a mutant. I'm gonna do a mutant Mount Rushmore.
Do it.
And I'm gonna do both
more
of
heads,
those.
More heads.
So Earthbound, Transistor, Persona 4 Golden, God of War 2018, and Metroid Prime would be on my Mount Rushmores.
Okay. Soak in the chat says Super Castlevania, Metroid Prime, Streets of Rage 2, and Halo 3.
Solid. Streets of Rage 2.
Okay. All right. Kittens mentioned Shadow of the Colossus soundtrack slaps, and then anything Supergiant, Hades, Bastion, etc.
All bangers. I just had to pick a favorite, unfortunately. That's the only reason.
Yeah. Okay, for me, realistically, because I'm like, I know everyone's like, oh, he's gonna say Metal Gear, but I don't really go back and listen.
That's to so what?
I don't know. What I'm going to say though is I love it, but I don't ever just sit and listen to it.
Okay.
I love it. It's one of my favorites of all time, but it's not something where it's like my go-to, like when I'm like, I'm going to sit down and listen to some video game soundtrack. No, I don't typically listen to Metal Gear Solid music, just in its own, like out of context. It's incredible for the game, not necessarily for just chilling or studying or something. Death Stranding, on the other hand, I could listen. Well, and what's funny is the Death Stranding soundtrack is basically just low roars entire.
That's what I was gonna say. So, like, is it actually a Death Stranding soundtrack, or is it just Low Roar's
album? It's
just
Low Roar. So just go listen to Low Roar, and that's just all of his first 2 or 3 albums, and that's the Death Stranding soundtrack, and it's fantastic.
R.I.P.
Yeah, which. The anniversary of his passing is coming up here. I saw some post, and they just finished up the final album. He had recorded all of his vocals before he passed away.
Are they using that for 2?
I don't know. There's been no announcement from Kojima about if they're going to be using more of his music or not. But I follow the Low Roar page, and one of his good friend who did the project with him basically has been continuing the project without him because all the vocals were done and a lot of the demos were done. So like his friend knew like, all right, here's the direction we need to go with these songs. And he just announced that it's done and they're putting a single out like over the next, there's gonna be like 2 or 3 singles over the next like 6 months, and then like next spring I think is when the whole album's coming out. I'm like, oh, I cannot wait. It's gonna be such an intense like emotional album, especially like him
knowing that he's gone.
Yeah. But
posthumous.
So yeah, Death Stranding's a little cheating because it's there is a score because it's by Ludwig Forsell who does
but that's what okay, so are you putting the score on there or are you putting the soundtrack on there?
I would put the score. In this case, the score and the sound, like the soundtrack is 10 out of 10 to me, but the score is very good. Like when I need to like if I'm just chilling, I listen to the soundtrack because I like the vocals and or like everything. I like the whole kit and caboodle there. But when I'm like working and I need like study like focus mode or when I'm working, I'll put on the score and it's phenomenal. I love it. And it's kind of the same thing with what you mentioned for God of War, like the emotional parts in the game and stuff, and like listening to it, I'm like, oh man, like remembering where the moment in the game and stuff. Very, very good. So I'll give it to the score on this one.
Okay.
The next one, can I do like a duel? Just because I feel like they're so similar in tone.
I already have a mutant one. Go for it.
But I don't want to count it as a mutant one, but almost like it's 2 sides of the same coin a little bit.
Okay.
Undertale and Amori.
See, Undertale was like scratching at the door for me. Up against Metroid Prime and God of War. If it wasn't that 2-headed one, it would have been Undertale. But I feel like I already had Earthbound, which is like the reason Undertale exists. So I didn't want to put that is 2 sides of the same coin to me. You're
spot on with that. But for me, at least, like the sound of the soundtrack and the tone, like gameplay wise, I mean, I don't know. One is definitely inspired by Undertale a little bit, but not exactly one for one. But soundtrack wise, I feel like they're very similar. And so like I feel like for me, it's like Undertale / Amori for that one. Just phenomenal soundtrack with those two. So
not mad at it.
So that's 2. I'll count that as 2.
Okay. I'll let you cook.
My 3 is Hollow Knight.
Huh. Okay.
It's very, I don't know. In general, it is very calm because most of the soundtrack is just like atmospheric, like environmental music.
That's what I think of.
Yeah. Which again, I love that when I'm just like, okay, I need something in the background. Like I'm studying, I'm just whatever, but I want something chill.
Mm-hmm.
It's phenomenal because it's just like very soothing. I don't know, relaxing music in general. And there are like within the soundtrack, there's still like some battle music and stuff, which is fun, very good. But I love the themes from the different biomes in Hollow Knight. I love it so much. It's so great. So that's number 3, which is crazy that I don't know. Hollow Knight is a game that for the longest time I was like, I'll never touch that. It's way too hard, way too this, that, the other thing. It's Eddie's favorite game of all time. And he's always just like, you got to play it. I'm like, no. But when I finally finished this last year, I'm like, okay, yeah, no, this game's phenomenal. Like this is up there on a list for me now.
I believe you. I believe you both. And I started it. I don't know why I don't feel like I need to go. I should rephrase that. Why it's not a priority for me to go back to it right now. I don't know what the holdup is or what the barrier is for me to be like,
you have to.
I should go back into this.
You have to be kind of in a right headspace for it, as with any game. Like that's how my entire gaming life is like I gotta be in just the perfect right headspace for it, and I'm always like on a razor's edge where I'm like I'm in and now I'm out. So like because Hollow Knight's something I started like years ago, like 2 years ago when I first got my Steam Deck, and it fell off like within a couple weeks. Didn't put too much time into it, and then it wasn't until just this last year when I picked it up again and like finally blasted through it, and it's like, oh, this game's so awesome, So I don't know. It's for me, it's definitely one of those like it's kind of like, oh, you got to be in the right mental space or whatever for like ready for that type of game. So maybe your time will come, maybe not.
I am fully aware that it is a great game. And I don't think the reason that I'm not chomping at the bit for it is because I think you nailed it. I think it is a phenomenal game. I fully believe you and Eddie that you say it is that good, but I think I just am not currently in the headspace for it. And I don't know if I'm going to be. I hope to be, so I can do it before Silksong comes out. But from what we know, I probably still have a whole lot of time.
You have a lot of time, I would guess.
Right. I'm not in a rush. I will probably have it done, as long as I do it before I turn 50. So
yeah. And then my number 4. This is hard.
While you noodle,
because I have 2 more. I guess I can just name them both because you did 5. I'm gonna do 5.
Yeah.
And honestly, these are both very similar to Hollow Knight, where they're more environmental music. But I don't know. Again, these are ones I just flip on and it's just so nice when I'm like focus mode working. Love it so much. Is Inscription. So good.
Okay.
Because it's so subtle too. It's not like, again, it's not in your face, super over the top like soundtrack, but I love the subtlety of it. And then Dredge, which ended up being my game of the year, my co-game of the year with Armored Core 6 from last year. So that one, and again, but it's more like atmospheric because it's not like there's boss battles in that game. You're just a fishing boat going around. There's different biomes, the different music and stuff like that. But I love like the oceanic, like sea shanty kind of sound to it, but it's like this but because it's like a eldritch horror type game as well, there's like this dark twistness, like this darkness, this like twist to it that's like, ooh, I love it. I don't know, it's just like different. It's not just straight up sea shanties. It's also like, it's a little creepy and weird and like dissonant, notes and keys that they're like off, like minor keys and stuff. I'm like, ooh, I like this. I like this a lot. Yeah, Kittens kind of makes a good point. Inscription has great audio, but I couldn't place the sound. Yeah, so there is it's
when the switch when the switch happens, that's when the soundtrack kicks in, I think.
Yeah, there is more soundtrack like with further into it, but earlier on it really is, like I said, more like atmospheric. Like if you listen to those first few tracks, which go along with like the first few bosses of that card fight, it like the angler and the hunter or the trapper and stuff like that. It's a lot of just like sound effects, Foley work. Like it's, mixed with like a really subtle, like doom, 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 like whatever, like kind of like low, like synth
to make you feel like uneasy the whole time.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just love that. And then later on, it gets a little bit more, but I don't know. Yeah. So it's a weird one for me. That's why I kind of like put it as like a, maybe more of an honorable mention. Like, so maybe my main is like Death Stranding, Undertale Amori kind of together, Hollow Knight and Dredge, and then Inscription's like an honorable mention where it's like, I don't know, I just love the tone of that entire game. Like the gameplay, the story, the soundtrack, the whole thing together is great. But I don't know, I pop it on from time to time just when I'm like, I just need like noise in the background, and it's just like,
I just need to cause myself a little anxiety right now. Can I go ahead and just put on? I like looking over my shoulder at all times. Let me put on the Inscription soundtrack.
I need more stress in my life. I need more stress, honestly. And so I'm just gonna listen to this. No, I love it. But Dredge is fantastic. That's a very good one. You should, if you haven't played that game, go play the game, please. It's so good.
Kitten says thinking of Hollow Knight makes me think of Ori and the Blind Forest, which also has an amazing soundtrack. That it does. Played that for the first time, I believe, last year as well. Okay. Very good game. I had my issues with it, and there's definitely signs of it being Moon Studios' like first full fat outing with Ori. Like there's, some and I don't mean it negatively, but like there's some rough edges that I'm sure have been ironed out with the second game. But yeah, no, Ori is a great game. Soundtrack was great too. So I fully endorse that pick.
That's one of those games where I've had it on my Steam page for years because it was like super duper crazy on sale at one point for like both of them. Like the definitive edition of both of them, and I still have not gotten to, but I just hear such amazing things about it. I need to fix that at some point. Need to get there. Kent says play Ori. Okay.
I did. I just haven't played the second one yet.
All right, we are way into the show. We have one more question still, so let's get this rolling. Thanks so much for that question, Kajoma, by the way. That was a good one. This is a letter from Ranger. That's right. We got the old novel coming in here again. It's
now
time.
I feel normal. It wouldn't be normal without a letter from him.
Yeah, we had to get that form submission. It's time for a Ranger realization. Let's go in a different direction this week. Ranger has a pretty spirited personality. Is he talking in the third person here?
That's what it sounded like. I was going to say.
Ranger has a pretty spirited personality, and I've always enjoyed connecting with people on any front. One of the things I've always appreciated about the podcast is how you both will address a variety of topics, sometimes having absolutely nothing to do with games. Boy, this episode's been just a highlight reel of that. You both entertain inquiries with gusto. So here we go. As I age, I've noticed that there are many foods that I would never touch with a 10-foot pole when I was younger. But now that I'm older, I notice myself straight up liking or even craving foods I've never have had before. I've heard that taste can change, but let me tell you, I've reached the point where I actually crave soup, cheesecake. I even eat cashews, pistachios regularly. Never have I ever. Coffee, ice cream, let's go. That does sound really funny to me because all those things I've always loved. And so it's just funny that now he's an adult. Now he craves them. I'm like, oh man, those are like
people are different, man. People are different.
It's true. His question this week is, have either of you noticed a personal food palate change in your life as you get older? Or are there foods that you now eat that you never did growing up or earlier in life? P.S. I bought the Yakuza series months ago on the show. I brought up the Yakuza series months ago on the show, and you both were crickets, but perhaps Garrett decided to jump in the pool based on Ranger's recommendations. To reiterate, Yakuza 0 is so exceptional, I've committed to playing every Yakuza game. At the moment, I'm halfway through Kiwami 2. PPS.
I thought I mentioned that I have Yakuza.
What's that?
I said I thought I mentioned that I have the Yakuza games. I just haven't played them. I played a few hours of 0, and I don't know what took me off track, but I loved what I played of it. Huh.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't say that. Well, that's the case, Ranger.
PPS, since I know both of you appreciate Ranger's recommendations, here's another. There was so much overwhelming chatter online I had to see for myself. I watched the first few episodes of the show on Epix. Both of you, do yourselves a favor and at least watch the trailer.
Okay.
I've never heard of this.
I think I saw a clip of this online.
Might need to check it out. So far, Ranger has not steered us wrong.
This is true.
Okay, a personal food palate change, or a food that you never would have thought or never ate growing up, and now you eat all the time. I'll go first on this one.
Okay.
With just one thing. I'm not going to share everything, but the first thing that always pops in my head is, as a kid, I hated rice with a passion.
Rice,
really? Rice. Like, granted, now that I think back, it was like rice in our house is like whatever the box, like instant rice was. It wasn't like, I forget what the brand is, but it wasn't like real rice, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. No, I sorry, I'm just not that my mom's bad at cooking. She listens to this podcast. My mom's a great cook.
You gotta mess yourself up. You should just quit while you're ahead. You could just be like, the rice we used to have wasn't my favorite.
She's come a long way in her rice cooking career.
You're gonna be getting a text at the end of this episode, and I can't help you with that one, buddy. I can't help you with that one.
But now as an adult, I love rice. I mean, we have it most meals, and like obviously, like I love like Japanese food, like sushi is all rice mostly, other than the fish, but like a lot of rice in that. I like make onigiri for the family like every once a month or so. Like I don't know. Rice is like such a staple in our household, and I love it to death. And it's just so funny because as a kid, like the only way I could palate it at all, like I could like force it down my gullet, is my mom came up with the idea. She's like, okay, let's put butter and brown sugar on it. That's what I would put on my rice to get it down. Otherwise, I wouldn't touch it with freaking like 100-foot pole.
Now, I've heard vaguely of people putting sugar in rice.
Yeah.
Which I think is a mortal sin, by the way. Brown sugar and butter in rice.
It is very good. Not good for you.
I was gonna say it sounds like it's terrible for you. Actually, it's two of the things that they say don't cut back on: sugar and fat. But I'm not thinking that when I think rice. I'm not thinking brown sugar. Butter, yes,
not anymore.
Butter.
Now as an adult, it's like, wow, that was absolutely wild. that was a way I ate rice, because it's like that's
right.
How like no other culture in the world does that. You look around, like rice is generally savory. It can be sweet. Like you think of like the Thai, like the mango, like the mango sticky rice and stuff. But that's
pineapple
different.
Rice.
But yeah, pineapple rice. But that's different than just straight butter and brown sugar.
I was gonna say,
there's
that's
like a whole
that's rice with flavoring, not just sugar poured on rice.
Yeah, like it almost feels like a sin that we did that. But I mean, again, it tasted fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But now as an adult, it's like that's bonkers crazy that because like I love it. I love it with plain. I love it with soy sauce. I love it with all sorts of different seasonings and whatnot. So yeah, kind of wild. What about you, Adrian?
So I'm actually gonna go in reverse. So something that you liked as a kid that a food group that your relationship has changed from being a kid to now.
Okay.
Mine would definitely be sweets. I have come to enjoy a more subtle sweetness.
Okay.
Most of the time. So like like a lot of the other countries in the world, their sweets are more kind of pulled back and reserved. And that's why when you always see people from other countries come and they eat our stuff, they're like, oh my God, how do you not have like an insulin spike? How are you guys not all carrying EpiPens? And it's because our desserts have so much more sugar in them.
It's the reason like diabetes and obesity is so high in America.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think in that regard, recently been preferring those. Now I will say that it is not 100%, right? Because I have actually had a taste for, and I haven't had it in forever. I don't know why, but I have a taste for sugar cookies. And yeah, but that's like a once in a blue moon type of deal, right?
I feel like this is a seasonal thing. Like I get that craving around this time as well, but then I eat one, I'm always like, no, I didn't actually want that. Like once I eat it, I'm like, no,
I don't want to do that. I hope I don't. No, but I'll tell you one great example. So Costco, and I told you this before the show, Costco used to have a chocolate cake that was 4 layers. And it used to be
absolutely crazy.
Chocolate frosting in between every single layer of the cake. And don't mind you, the cake itself was already super rich. And then it was like an extra thick layer of chocolate frosting all around the cake itself. Then it was chocolate shavings that they would sprinkle on top. Younger me could not wait for my parents to get that cake and bring it back to the house. Me now visualizing trying to eat that cake, my stomach is literally doing cartwheels. Not like, I shouldn't say cartwheels, maybe somersaults. That sounds more negative. Just thinking about how like heavy something like that is.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's like
if I ate something like that, I'd be like, all right, I'm cool for a good little while off of that. But that's also not to say, I think it honestly, it would have to be something that I feel it would be worth putting up with the richness of. You know what I mean? Like, if something looks good enough, or if I hear something is good enough, then I'll try it.
Yeah.
But on GP, I would prefer not to have the crazy sweet things outside of the occasional, man, I really want this pretty bad. Mm-hmm. And recently it's only been like a couple of things that I'm like, yeah, this is super rich, but I still want to try it anyway. So yeah, I think that's my big thing.
For me too, as an adult, I have extremely sensitive teeth for whatever reason. Like not only temperature, but also like if I eat sweet things, like it'll hurt. And I don't have cavities. Like I've gone to the dentist, they're like, I don't have cavities, but I just have really sensitive teeth for whatever reason. Like I have to use Sensodyne toothpaste every once in a while. You know, it just helps with your enamel and stuff.
Right.
And so like, yeah, a cake like that or anything like a candy bar, like Snickers. I used to love Snickers as a kid, but now if I like just sinking my teeth into it, not even like chewing it and swallowing it, just the simple like I just bit into it. It's almost immediate. This lightning bolts through my teeth. It's like okay, never mind.
Throw it away,
or just suffer through it. But and I rarely eat those. It's like, all right, it's like around this time, around Halloween time, all of a sudden it's like, okay, like the kids got some in their trick or treat buckets. I'll have one. I'll see what it is. Like, nope, okay, never mind.
This was a mistake.
That was a mistake. Oh man, but yeah, so I'm right there with you though. Like, I mean, I've never been a sweets person, even as a kid. I've always been more like when it comes to like snacks and stuff, like savory. Give me all like chips.
But the sweet stuff that I did get was ultra sweet.
Yeah, it was like insane. Oh man.
But yeah, no, I do have a sweet tooth for a couple of things. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's awesome. I can't really think of anything else. I mean, I'm sure there's things, but I feel like that's my biggest one. My biggest one is the rice. It's crazy. I'm a weirdo.
That is crazy.
All right. Well, I think that is it for the mailbag. Thank you all so much who wrote in. Appreciate you. Be sure to write in if you're on our Discord. You can go to supergamerboys.com/Discord. Join that. It's totally free. And hang out with us during the week. Talk about video games, movies, TV shows, whatever. But you can also leave your questions over there. We got a channel called Mailbag Submissions. Drop it in there, and we'll be sure to read on the show. Or if you want to be like Ranger and submit it through the form on our website, I guess you can do that too. But right now, he has a monopoly on it. So, all right, let's get on with the show. Adrian.
Yes, sir.
It's now time for the nerdy nudes.
It's now time for the nerdy nudes.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. All right. This first news story comes to us from Wesley and Pool over at IGN. They write, Smash Bros. Creator Masahiro Sakurai quits YouTube with final video teasing mystery new game. Smash Bros. Creator Masahiro Sakurai has ended his popular YouTube channel by teasing the upcoming announcement of a mystery new game. In the final video from the Masahiro Sakurai on Creating Games YouTube channel, Sakurai revealed that he received a video game development proposal in July of 2021, as he was busy putting together the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Kazuya reveal video, as well as DLC character Sora. Production then began in April 2022, which make it 2.5 years in the making. Sakurai added that, assuming this video game is completed, it should be announced sooner or later, though he didn't say anything more specific. I've received a request to write a game proposal, which I finished at lightning speed, he said. I'm sorry I can't share more about this project, but assuming we're able to get it made, it should be announced sooner or later. Sakurai also revealed that until recently, all the footage of him for his channel was recorded 2.5 years ago. If you're wondering why, if you're wondering why he all of a sudden looks older, there's little to go on, but it's good news for Sakurai's army of fans who had wondered what he'd do next, having wrapped up work on Switch exclusive Super Smash Bros. Ultimate earlier this year. Not earlier this year. Why does it say that? It's been years since he did that. Right? We haven't gotten anything from Sakurai for a while, so I don't know. That's an interesting take. Some even speculated that Sakurai might have retired. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate launched in 2018. Sora arrived as its final expansion fighter in 2021. The Kingdom Hearts character wrapped up an 89 character roster for the game, which includes fighters from The Legend of Zelda, Pokemon, Banjo-Kazooie, Dragon Quest, Persona, Mega Man, Final Fantasy, Metal Gear Solid, Minecraft, and many more. Sakurai said in October 2023 he's not sure where to take Super Smash Bros. Next, because it's difficult to imagine an increase of this magnitude happening again. What might Sakurai's next game be? Nintendo is preparing to announce its Switch successor console, and there will surely be more Smash Bros. Game given the incredible success of Ultimate. Perhaps yet another sequel is now in the works, but is Sakurai involved? Adrian, Sakurai is back working on a game. Is there a chance it's another Smash Bros?
I mean,
or
logically, of course, there's another chance it's a Smash Brothers. Do I want it to be a Smash Brothers? Absolutely not. I want Sakurai to work on what he wants to work on. And I know if I were him, I would be 1000% tired of working on Smash Brothers games. Let me make something that I want to make, please. And I feel like dealing with Nintendo, his track record of delivering as far as like projects with them, you know, Smash Brothers, the whole series of that, the Kid Icarus game going crazy on 3DS. I think he's got more than enough clout to be like, look, I've delivered for you guys. We got crazy numbers with the games that I've made. I feel like you should let me do one for me. You know how like directors always say, oh, it's one for the studio and one for me when they direct movies. I think this is his one for me game.
Okay.
And I don't think it's going to be Smash Brothers. I think it's going to be something that, if it's something that he's excited enough about to write the pitch for it at light speed, then I think we're in for a great time, because it's something he's clearly extremely passionate about, as passionate as he is about Smash Brothers, about something completely different. I'm all in for it.
Yeah, I feel like it probably has to be something not Smash Bros. Related, but I don't know. As much as it seems like he doesn't want to do another one just because he's not 100% sure exactly what to do with it. Like, not that he doesn't want to do one, but he definitely seems like he's hesitant because he did a lot. Like, that's why his reason why it's called Ultimate. It has so many characters and so many maps. It cannot get everything.
By definition better than that.
But in the back of my head, I just can't stop thinking though, like, yeah, as much as I would like it to be like a one for him, Nintendo has a lot of money, and a lot of times when they come knocking, like, it's hard to say no. Like, if they're like, hey,
Sakurai has a lot of money too, though.
Yeah, I'm sure he does, but I don't know. Like, I just wonder, like, if Nintendo pushed him on it, they're like, we need something.
He
for
put
the
the money
console.
up for his video series himself, and it was $600,000. He said that it cost.
Dang, that's crazy.
So I think he's good. I think he's all right.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess in my head though, like, if Nintendo starts leaning on you, like, we need a new game. Can you give us a new game? Like,
I can give you a new game. It's gonna be my new game, but I can give you a new game. If you tell people that it's my game, it'll sell. Yeah. So that's how I would word it.
Yeah. I would hope that's what it is too. Like, I wouldn't want them to make something that, like, be forced into anything. But yeah, I guess I'm just really curious, like, what it could be. Now, this might be kind of dumb a question, but what other games has he made? Has he only done Smash Bros, or does he have other?
No, he made he did Meteos. He did Kid Icarus, Uprising. Okay. He created Kirby. Like, literally created Kirby.
Yeah. I knew that. Okay. Yes. That makes sense.
No, dude's got. He's got. What?
He didn't help on the new Kirby game, right?
No, I think he consulted, but that's like he even went uncredited if he did. So, but I think that's probably the most. I think I think they come to him out of respect to be like, when I say consult, they're like, hey, we made a Kirby game and we know how much you care about Kirby. What do you think? Can you play it and tell us what you think? Type of deal. Like they might have build up for him to come and play. And he's like, oh, this is cool. I don't know if I would have done this, but it seems still good. I'm rocking with that. This is kind of whack. I wouldn't do this. I would do X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? I think that's probably the extent of his involvement with current Kirby games.
Okay, because that's what my head went to is like, well, that new one did really well. Like people really loved it. I played through recently with with Shepard.
It was awesome. It was such a good game.
Phenomenal, especially for a co-op game with younger kids. It was great. I loved it, and I wonder, like, is there a chance he dips back into Kirby? Like maybe like
he very well could
connection or sequel to that for the new Switch console or something, or do we get something original out of him? It'd be cool to get something original, but for him, a passion project might be going back to like his roots a little bit. Be like, all right, now let's do something I haven't touched in a long time. It might be, fun for him. So I don't know. We'll have to wait. I mean,
on his track record alone, whatever he's doing, I'm showing up for. So that's the long and short of it.
100%. Kittens in the chat says if he spent $600K, then he might not have money anymore.
Oh no, he's got money. I wouldn't be surprised if he made some kind of deal with Nintendo to where his company gets like, you know what I mean, a percentage or a point off of game sales. So he's probably doing okay. Because I would have done that, especially if this game hinges on me so much and Nintendo needs me so much. Oh yeah, no, I'll come back and make another game for you. But out of every copy that's sold, I'm getting $1. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure he has a pretty sweet deal there.
Absolutely.
I mean, especially just based off his tenure and, on its own. Like, he's been a staple of Nintendo for so long. It's like, they probably just hand him whatever he wants.
Yeah, they're probably just like, whatever, dude. Give us the paper. Get working on the game. It's fine. So yeah, if Smash Brothers sells, what? I forget how many copies it sold. 20-something million, we'll say, just to be on conservative with it. That's 20-something million dollars in his pocket before taxes, of course. But that means that the $600K is nothing. It's quite literally.
Smash Bros. Ultimate sold 34.66 million.
There you go.
And that's just Ultimate. That's not even including all the other Smash Bros, which probably sold just as much or more because people love Smash Bros so much.
And I don't know what the deal is. That's just a fake made up deal that I'm like, that's what I would make if I were in Sakurai's shoes. But I say all that to say it's very likely that Sakurai is doing okay. He is very comfortable. He probably honestly does not have to work again ever if he didn't want to, but he just loves making games that much that he just does it still. So
did you know he's the voice actor for King DDD?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. He does it and puts the filter on it.
I'm on the wiki here. And yeah, for Kirby 64 he was, and then Super Smash Brothers Brawl, and then the last two Smash Bros, the one for Wii U and then Ultimate. Interesting. Crazy. So yeah, stay tuned, I guess. So I would assume if he's already been working on it since 2021, did they say, or 2022?
22.
It could be a launch title or close to launch title, right?
At this point, depending on the scope of it.
Like it could come out potentially in the next year or two. And
I'd say launch year.
Yeah. So we might hear about it soon. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Have a new Sakurai game first thing on the Switch 2, whatever that is. Now, when do you think we're going to hear about Switch 2, because I know I think in the last episode about 2 weeks ago, we're like, ooh, yeah, October's pretty promising. We're probably gonna hear something here, and now it's October 28th. We've not heard anything. All we got was a Nintendo Alarmo.
So I thought about this, and I actually watched. I don't know if you know Kit and Krista, who used to do the Nintendo Minute. And they worked at Nintendo for a long time. They helped launch the Switch and all that. Yeah. So they have a podcast that they do together, and they kind of like recount their time working in the game industry and, you know, covering news and stuff like that from the perspectives of people who have worked on games. So they recently made. So
they actually know what they're talking about, unlike us.
Right. They actually know what they're talking about. Right. Okay. So they made a video recently kind of, you know, noting down some points of why they think it's not a good time for Nintendo to announce the Switch at this point in time. Oh. And they had a few good points, and basically like a couple of them were, well, Switch is still doing well right now. They want to get all that they can out of it before, you know, the generation is over, like to give it a final good farewell. There's also like the fact that it's getting ready to be the holiday season, and if we were already this deep in October, like people have already started making decisions of what they're going to buy and squirrel away for the holidays. If Nintendo was going to announce something this big, they would want to have done it. They would have done it, at the beginning of October or somewhere around there, to kind of, you know, get people's attention and get the idea in their minds. That one I didn't agree too much with, because I'm like, well, you can announce it now and just say it's not coming out till May and it could be okay. But who am I to argue with people, the literal people who helped launch the original Switch? So, but basically it was a list of things like that they were like, well, based on what we did with Switch 1 and based on what Nintendo told us when we were working on the original Switch of how they perceive the situation, we don't think that it's going to be announced this month or in holiday. And if it isn't, no harm, no foul. If it is, and they also said, well, they could also do something totally different, and you know, than when we were there and announce it. So it could honestly go either way. They just don't think that it's going to be this holiday, and that's kind of what swayed me to be like, maybe it isn't this holiday then.
Yeah, I mean, with such a later, it's a later release than than Switch 2, because the Switch also, because the first Switch released in March,
and they revealed it in October.
Where this one isn't coming out at the earliest May, and so I could totally see it, like basically the launch is being delayed a couple months, so announcement would be delayed a couple months, so it could be more like a January thing. You know, they usually do a direct in January, right? Or no?
February.
It's February. It's usually February the big one.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they hold out till February then, and then it ends up actually coming out in like June. It's like a summer release or something, which could be like not typical for a system release, but Nintendo as such a big name, they can release things whenever they want, and they're gonna make hand over fist cash. So I don't think they care at this point when it releases, because people buy it.
They also mentioned that they think that the reason that we got the announcement last time for Switch in October is because they were floundering so bad with Wii U that it didn't matter if they could put something out, because nobody was buying Wii U anyway. So it doesn't matter that we weren't trying to withhold that so that maybe a few more people will go buy Wii U's. No, that's not the case here. You know, and they're still selling Switches by the thousands. So it wouldn't make sense to mess up that momentum with an announcement of a new console until you're absolutely ready and you've given the Switch the window to where you see, okay, things are already petering off, but now they're starting to go off a cliff. Let's go ahead and drop the next thing.
Yep. Checks out. It all checks out. So stay tuned. See what Sakurai's got cooking up over there. Can't wait to hear. This next news story comes to us from Screen Rant, written by Andrew Zhou. Maybe Zhou. Nintendo Switch Online playtest leaks run wild as testers stream gameplay. After the start of a secret playtest for an unnamed Nintendo Switch game on October 23rd, players have already begun to leak actual gameplay, despite significant effort on Nintendo's part to keep the game's content as private as possible. Limited availability signups for the playtest, which were made available to Nintendo Switch Online members, began on October 10th, including stipulations from Nintendo that successful applicants keep details of the playtest private. Predictably, however, these stipulations failed to keep things under wraps even before the start of the playtest, as details were leaked as soon as they became available. There is a warning here. This article contains spoilers for an upcoming Nintendo Switch game. Which, from what I've
seen, I don't really care.
Yeah, from what I've read, it's this. If anything, it seems like a concept of a plan.
Right. That's pretty good.
As of
what you did.
As of the official start of the playtest, images and footage of the game have been leaked online, some of which can be seen in this thread on r/gaming leaks and rumors. While many attempts to leak the game have so far been met with takedowns from Nintendo, there are still plenty of leaks that have remained viewable, showing exactly what can be done in the unnamed Switch game. Currently, leaks have portrayed the game as an MMO-like experience focused on building structures in a shared world, drawing comparisons to games like Minecraft. There is one streamer gets full DMCA strike. Their entire channel's now gone. However, while some leakers have managed to evade Nintendo's takedown so far, others haven't been so lucky. In a similar fashion, the pre-download leaks of the game, Nintendo has been quick to strike players like Brett Wills on Twitch, who later confirmed on Reddit that their channel was dead after a DMCA strike. Other streams on prominent platforms like Twitch and YouTube have shut down at similar speed, although images and even some short videos have remained up in other places. The leaks of the game, as reported by IGN, point to an MMO experience centered on using blocks to build on a planet that's shared with other players, with the added ability to swing from these structures with an attachable grapple hook-like rope. While the game appears to be unfinished, leaving players with little else to do except build higher and higher structures, there is at least some form of progression, as an in-game shop provides tools to assist with building. While the leaked playtest gameplay is interesting in its own right, it's not entirely clear exactly what the purpose of the test is at this point. The most straightforward answer is that the playtest is an early version of an upcoming Switch game, potentially for the Switch 2, but other guesses include the possibility that Nintendo is testing new online infrastructure, either for MMO-like games or an overhauled online system. Whatever the case, Nintendo is going to have an uphill battle trying to keep leaks off the internet before the Nintendo Switch playtest ends on November 5th. Boy, I mean, honestly, so to get down to like what the purpose of this is, yeah, they could be testing for a game, but even if it's testing, I never even thought of that, like an overhauled online system.
That's what I think it is. Have you seen this? Have you seen the images of this game? It looks real bad.
Yeah, I've seen a couple pictures and videos and stuff. It's extremely...
I think it's enough of a mask over whatever the actual thing is, so they can continue to test that netcode is just enough for them to be like, oh, this is a beta of a game. It's a beta. They're just testing servers. Yeah, because they got an MMO coming out.
And that's what I hope. I hope it's like an overhaul of the online system, because right now the online system is trash.
Garbage.
Like the way they do everything, from like friend codes to chat, like voice chat, to just online play in general, is such a pain in the butt. Whether it's
anything you have to go
whether
online
you're trying
for
to play, whether you're trying to play Mario Kart or Mario Party or Animal Crossing, it's never just like, oh, just join my world or join my game. It's like, type in a code and they at the same exact time, and if you miss it by a millisecond, you also on the other player has to receive your invite and like hit okay, and it's like you have to be a scientist to like friggin' break down the formula on how to like play online. I feel like it's such a pain in the butt. That's an exaggeration, but it is, compared to everything else, it is a pain in the butt, you know? Like PlayStation and Xbox and Steam, it's just like if someone's playing a game, just click join game and you're just in, you know?
Right.
But Nintendo's like, nah, it's not, we're not gonna be.
You gotta work for this, buddy.
You gotta work.
You want to play with your friends, you gotta earn it.
You're only paying like $20 a year. You gotta work a little bit.
That's to offset the cost. That's what you're not paying for labor. That's why Switch Online is so cheap. I mean, it's kind of genius when you think about it.
If you want us to actually matchmake you more efficiently and like the way you should be done,
that's going to be $50.
It's going to be $50 or $60 a year, man. Like, no, we're going to keep our costs down. We're going to make you do a little bit of work.
You better call your friend, and you better turn your switches on at the same time and hope you get in the same lobby. Good luck. Goodbye.
Oh man, yeah, it's wild, but that makes a lot more sense in a game because the images you see of the game is this like kind of bizarre. It's like this. I don't see how this could be a full game. Like maybe, but it feels like there's too many like the whole premise of it being block building in a world and an open. It's like okay, is this Minecraft? Like they're making their own Minecraft. That's kind of weird because they have this partnership with Xbox, bringing games to Switch. So it seems weird that they would just like kind of rip off an IP. So I that's kind of where I'm leaning now that I've, that makes more sense for it to be like, oh, we're testing all these systems out. Systems. Neither one of us.
But we need But we need a decoy. We'll just tell people it's a game.
Yeah. So that's probably what's going on here. I don't know. I haven't watched a ton of the videos and images. You've actually seen some of the gameplay.
I have. People were putting clips on Twitter before they were getting taken down and re-uploaded and taken down. And it seems like your average MMO server, like Final Fantasy or Phantasy Star Online, where you're interacting with a bunch of different characters asynchronously in the world, and there's going to be merchants and all that stuff to fly around and find. So, as long as it works well and it's not like in the way or like built into the Switch 2 where they tell you, oh, you have to do this because you have a Nintendo account, I got no problem with it. If people want to play it, have at it.
Now, let's say it is all just a cover for either A, the systems, or B, like they do have like an MMO planned, but from another IP. What IP would you want an MMO from?
With Nintendo?
What Nintendo IP?
I guess Pikmin. Pikmin would be a good MMO.
Okay.
You can bring your Pikmin with you anywhere in the world. And if you see somebody's having an issue or like they need help with Pikmin, you can throw your Pikmin to help them out. You know what I mean? Like temporarily party together. Help them to lift a bridge or to take on an enemy or, any number of things, or go it alone and, make your Pikmin the strongest and do it that way. So there's options.
Okay. What if it was like a Super Mario Online? And it's this Mario 64 or like an open world like type Mario game I guess more recently, Mario, Mario, what's it even called? I can't remember the name of it. What's the new Mario 3D game?
Oh, Odyssey?
Odyssey is, like Odyssey. But there's like a bunch of people running around. You can team up with people and do raids on Bowser's castles and stuff like that. Like,
you joke, but that sounds kind of fun.
Imagine you have to get through the
castle. Imagine you have to get through the castle to find the raid room. So like, now you and 4 friends, maybe you're splitting up to try to catch coverage, and somehow Bowser appears in different rooms and something like that, and you have to try to battle him or something, depending on if you're with your party or without. That could be something. Just throwing that out there.
I hope you can choose your character and you can choose from all like the main ones. And I just want to like start a clan. It's just like a million toads. Like you can only join the clan if you're playing as a toad, and so it's just like, and you have to role play too. It's an RP server where everyone's talking like this.
Oh boy.
Leroy Jenkins. It's just, oh man, absolutely wild. That's what I want right there. Or Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild MMO. Let me build my own little city with my friends.
I can see that.
Or not city, but like a little town, a little sleepy town. That'd be great. All right. Let's move on to this next story here. This is the last story. This last story comes to us from Tyler Wilde over at PC Gamer. The day before studio returns from the dead and asks for a second chance. From now on, our development and marketing will be based on the principle of honesty. Believe it when I see it. Infamous open world survival game The Day Before bombed when it released late last year, and developer Fantastic shut its door just 4 days later. The Day Before has failed financially, and we lack the funds to continue, the studio said at the time. But now Fantastic has returned. They're pulling a freaking Emperor Palpatine here. Somehow he's returned. Saying it's going to do things differently this time and asking gamers to fund its next project on Kickstarter. Wow. Given its reputation, the reanimated studio, which also made the once popular, now defunct Prop Night, might have a hard time reaching even its modest $15,535 goal for Escape Factory, a physics-based multiplayer co-op escape game. Kickstarter users once pledged $55,492 to fund a potato salad, though, so anything's possible.
Oh, boy.
The multi-year saga that concluded with Fantastic's closure began in 2021 with a slick-looking announcement trailer for The Day Before. If there's one thing PC gamers flock to, it's open-world survival games, and The Day Before shot to the top of Steam's most wish-listed chart with the expectation that it'd be a zombie MMO with The Last of Us-like graphics. After a series of delays, the audience grew skeptical that The Day Before would really be the game they were imagining. And when it released in 2023, it turned out to be a janky, generic extraction shooter that did not meet most people's definition of an MMO. I think that's the outcome a lot of people truly expected at that point. They showed up for a train wreck and got one. And as we observed after playing The Day Before ourselves, the game didn't actually look at all that different from what we saw in the trailers. It was just, bad. We apologize. I don't know who's saying that. There's like quotes around it, but maybe it's the person writing the article. I don't know. We apologize if we didn't meet your expectations, the studio said after the launch. We did everything within our power, but unfortunately, we miscalculated our capabilities. Creating games is an incredibly challenging endeavor. I love how their excuse for their bad game is that
making games is hard, guys.
Making games is hard. It's too hard, which I'm sure it is, but it's just like, okay, then don't do it. Like, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the fire, right? Like, I don't know. If this isn't for you,
pretty obvious.
I don't know. It just seems like we all know games are hard to make. That's why not everyone makes them. That's why we respect indie studios who do put out good games so much, because it's hard. So
it's hard.
It's like you don't need to tell us it's hard. We know it's hard. Like,
hard to make a game, harder to make a good game.
Yes, exactly. But there's a lot more to this whole situation. Not only do they have that, but The Day Before purchases were refunded, and that seems to be the definite end of Fantastic, especially after it was alleged that the studio's two founders, Eduard and Asen Kotovtsev, have been using volunteer labor and bizarrely fining their own employees for subpar work. Isn't that crazy?
Excuse me?
So they had a lot of volunteer labor, people literally was donating time to make the game. And then on top of that, people who were paid, they were getting fined if they didn't think their work was good enough. Wild.
So you want me to crash out, huh? That's what it's sounding like.
The brothers reportedly became non-communicative when The Day Before launch, reappearing only long enough to close the studio over a conference call. The new Fantastic 2.0, which is smaller, but still consists of the same people, is going to be different, says its leaders. For one thing, they claim they've discontinued the practice of involving external volunteers and are now fully committed to a more professional approach. Although they seem to contradict themselves later in the same FAQ when they say that some team members are helping out on a goodwill basis. All right, so you're still accepting
money,
volunteer labor. You're just calling it something different. The developers' analysis of what went wrong with The Day Before points to, quote, overly ambitious goals on a low indie budget, a team without AAA tech experience, and embellishing marketing. I'd say that's probably the big one. I think they kind of buried the lead a little bit there. Like, yeah, okay, overly ambitious, okay, low budget, all right. No experience with AAA games, all right. Embellished marketing. Bingo, ding, 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 ding. You can have a game that's ambitious and low budget without the experience of AAA, still be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't lie to people, right? Like, their marketing straight up just lied to people that's where things went wrong, you know?
No, I get you.
From now on, our development and marketing will be based on the principle of honesty, reads a document on Fantastic's plan for recovery. If Escape Factory is funded, Fantastic says it'll also pursue a new prop hunt game as a successor to Prop Night. If the Kickstarter fails, the studio will return to the void. I don't know if they said that or if that's just the writer at PC Gamer, which they're usually pretty snarky over there.
You know, they love to add their jokes in.
We're asking for a second chance. We believe that with your support, we can create your future favorite games, says the company. So, Adrian, do we trust Fantastic?
Here's the deal. I feel like you have to allow studios to make a what I don't like.
I clicked on the link for the Kickstarter. I don't know when this article was written. It says it was written on the September 20. Oh, what? September 20? That was like a month ago. Well, anyways, this was new news. It just popped back up. So this is all relevant news but apparently Kickstarter was canceled just a few days ago.
Really?
Their goal
Did they get the money?
No, their goal was $15,000. They only made it to $2,375, and then
that tells you right there the general public knows in situations like this.
It says here funding canceled. Funding for this project was canceled by the project creator on October 22nd. So yeah, so wild. So that's the beginning and the end of that story.
Best of luck.
Absolutely bonkers crazy. I wonder, will they come back again? Will we get Fantastic 3.0, or is that the last we hear from them?
No, I think you got your grifts off. You got your money. Just go sit down somewhere, get into another industry, figure it out.
I mean, they didn't make much money because they had to refund everyone for the first game. Like that's what the article said, is that they refunded everyone for the day before. What was it called? The day after, the day before? The day before.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine they made too much money, but maybe they did. I don't know. Wild. What a wild story. Almost as wild as like the Blue Box story, honestly, which
right.
Still not finished. That story's not finished. We haven't heard from them in a while, but as far as we know, there's still a game they're developing was supposed to come out on PS5 3 years ago.
I'm telling you, Sony should have stepped in and just canceled it themselves. Be like, actually, we don't want it anymore. You're going free agent. You better call Xbox. Something.
Wild. Absolutely crazy. Oh, man. All right. Well, that's it for the news stories this week. I think that means it's time for our Patreon ad.
Roll them.
All right. This is the part of the show where I tell you about our Patreon. That's right. Patreon.com/SuperGamerBoys. You can head over there and support us starting at just $1 a month. $1 each and every month gets you episodes early and ad-free, such as this show. You know, normally it comes out on Wednesdays. But if you're supporting us on Patreon at the $1 level, you can get it Monday nights right after we finish recording. I edit it up, get it uploaded. You can get the both audio and video version of it over on our Patreon feed. And then you also get access to Patreon exclusive shows such as Super Later Boys and early seasons Super Gamer Book Club, and access to our entire library, all ad-free. So if you want that, check it out. $1 a month. Our next tier, $5 a month. You can support us over there, $5 a month, to get obviously the previous perk, episodes early and ad-free, but also the show notes each and every week, so you know exactly what we're going to be talking about, whether it's what news stories, what listener questions, what games we've been playing. You get to see the whole kit and caboodle and leave your own questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, whatever you want on the doc. We appreciate seeing those little notes from you folks and hearing what you guys think about the different topics that we touch on. So think about it. $5 a month. That's all it is. You get the early and ad-free episodes in the show notes. The next tier, $10 a month, you get all those previous perks and sorry, I noticed the chat. Kitten says the whole kitten caboodle. Exactly. $10 a month, you get those previous perks and a big old shout out at the top of each and every episode. You probably heard me mention them earlier. And the top dog tier, $15 a month, Patreon producer. You can support us over there and get all those previous perks and the ability to pitch us a segment for the show. You think you have a good segment to add into our regular show here, or maybe something fun we can do over on social media, something on a YouTube channel, whatever it might be, think about supporting us at that top tier. Give us the pitch for that segment, and you know what? Most of the time, we give it the old college try. Adrian back in the day had Super Indie Boys that he did. Kajoma has had a few segments. Kajoma's Card Game Corner, Tall Tales of JJ. Our Super Dungeon Boys, our D&D show, was even kind of a spin-off of a suggestion we got from someone else. So I think it was Matt Lou and Eddie, if I remember right, Hophead Ed. Both of them had kind of mentioned some D&D stuff, and so we're like, oh, let's just do a whole show. So think about it. $15 a month. You can submit some ideas, and we'll give them a shot. And then we have a lot of fun. We love our Patreon producers. And that's it. Patreon.com/SuperGamerBoys. Go check it out. We appreciate all the love and support over there. You can also support us by going to sgbstore.com. I've been sipping out of my Super Gamer Boys mug tonight. This is I don't know. I think that there's an updated version on there that doesn't have JJ's
That's vintage.
face. Yeah, this is. I don't think you can get this one anymore. But yes, the SGB mug. I need to get the new one because I have the original one where it's just me and JJ, and then there's this one with three of us, and then I need to get the one that's you and me now. So I have all three versions of the mug. But we got t-shirts, we got hoodies, we got you name it. Our summer collection's still up, even though summer's coming to an end in most places. It was chilly in San Diego today, to be honest. It was overcast and pretty chilly. I mean, I'm wearing a hoodie right now. So
weather's turning up here too.
Finally, we are like getting second summer for a little bit. I wasn't happy about it. It like cooled off and then it was like, nope, it's still 90s here. Like, oh, what the heck? Starting to cool off again. So it's time. Get those sweaters out and we can provide them for you over at sgbstore.com. Go check it out. And last but not least, you can subscribe on Twitch. Last way you can support us, you can pay your own hard-earned cash, or you can steal Jeff Bezos' money. That's right. If you have Amazon Prime, you can link it to your Twitch account. Use your Prime Gaming sub each and every month over here on our channel. It costs you $0. We still get our cut from Twitch. So think about supporting us over there. It gets you access to our emotes, ad-free viewing, because during the live streams, we can't help it. We can't. Once you're affiliate, you can't turn off ads. So if you want to watch our streams and no ads, use that Prime Gaming sub. It costs you $0. Then you can watch without ads over here and help support the channel. So you get some stuff, we get some stuff, everyone's happy. And in the end, it costs you $0. So that's an easy way to support our channel. So think about it. Twitch.tv/TheSuperGamerBoys. We'd very much appreciate that support. And with that, let's get back to the show. All right, Adrian. It's been a couple weeks.
Yes, sir.
I'm excited to hear all the dozens and dozens of games you've played. So, Adrian, what you playing?
Yes, my dozens of games, in which you mean maybe the 2 or 3 that I've been going back and forth between. So my PlayStation Portable has been in my bag these past couple of weeks.
That's awesome.
Been playing a little Loco Roco, and you can thank Astrobot for that. Astrobot, it's been out a little while now, so I think we can talk about it. One of the secret levels or the surprise end levels in Astrobot is a Loco Roco based level, and I was so excited to see that somebody at Sony remembered what Loco Roco is enough that they decided to put a major chunk of the game as that game. So I've been playing that on and off. It's just like I remember. It's fun to be able to, pick it up and put it back down, no problem. Short levels, but there's challenge there if you want it. So that's one. The other is been playing Mega Man Maverick Hunter X, which is a remake of Mega Man X, the first Mega Man X for PSP.
Okay.
And it's all redone. So it's basically a ground up remake. It's 3D graphics to take, advantage of PSP's power. It's voice acted. It's got extras in it. It even has so Eddie might know this, but I'm sure not a whole lot of other people do. But there was actually a Mega Man X anime movie that was released around that time. And if you buy the UMD for it, or if you bought the UMD for it back in the day, it was a part of it. So you could just watch the movie on the disc, because UMDs are awesome, and they could also be used for movie storage. And so that's what they did. They put the entire movie on the disc as well, and you could just go into it and watch it. So not only did you get a game, but you got a movie in the same UMD. That was a genius move.
I wish UMDs took off more.
I do too. They're such a cool format, dude. I don't care. Look, in the grand scheme of things, a minute to load is honestly not that long.
Yeah, not terrible. I mean, at the
time,
when
you're thinking about a device
that's feel like, in context, like it didn't feel, as a kid, I don't remember it feeling that long.
I think there's very few games that actually take, like GTA takes a whole minute, but that's because you have to load the entire map off of the disc. So that makes sense. But most games are maybe 20, 25.
Yeah.
If that. That's not that bad.
And even and if the technology stuck more, obviously they would have improved it. Just like,
read speeds would have got way faster. Lasers would have got way better.
Yeah. Just like how DVDs went from DVDs, HD DVDs, Blu-rays, 4K Blu-rays, those are constantly iterating. So imagine if UMD really caught on and they just iterated at it, where the technology got better, not only for the disc, but for the readers. Man, imagine a little Blu-ray UMD, how fast and how
dude. There's a parallel universe, an alternate timeline out there where this is happening, and I wouldn't give to see, a world where there's an ultra HD UMD.
Is this so satisfying to pop that little cartridge in there too? Because the original PSP, I think later ones they changed it. The later ones, you have to flip it open with your it's a little tab. Right. But the original one that I had growing up, you hit the little switch and it goes ka-chink, it's cassette tape, spring loaded. So the sound that made opening up was so fantastic. And then you stick it in there and it goes click. And you the click it makes when it shuts.
When you close it.
Oh, the feel, the tactile feel, and the audible every aspect of that is just absolutely phenomenal. I love it.
I miss it so much. Man, how did they do that? I ask myself that question all the time. How did Sony do that? It was 2005.
It's crazy.
And it had Wi-Fi in it, and it could play movies on it.
I've been seeing music on Twitter. A lot of people have been posting lately. I saw you retweeted one of them, but I'd seen other people tweeting about it too. The GPS, the GPS still works on the PSP. People using it.
It's crazy
in their car. Granted, you had to have the GPS adapter that you could only get in Japan. But I just love that, how it's okay, no big deal. Just hook the GPS on there, download the maps. Maybe they're a little outdated, but it's for major highways, it just still works. It's crazy. I love it.
So I've been going back and forth between those two, and then my third is quite honestly just some good old-fashioned Dynasty Warriors. I can easily burn a quick 10 to 15 minute wait with a Dynasty Warriors level. Just run through some crowds and lay waste to make sure that your base doesn't get taken over in the Muso mode. So yeah, that's what I've been kind of bouncing between these 2 weeks. And none of them has been an incredibly long game session. So while I have been playing those, it doesn't necessarily mean that I was playing them every day. I wasn't playing them for long periods of the day, but just within the last 2 weeks, that's mainly what my focus has been, is just playing those games. But man, shout out PSP. Just a phenomenal system.
Kitten's in the chat. You know, you're giving him some praise at the beginning of the show. Give him a shout out.
Oh no, was he a hater?
But then he comes out and says this. Now I'm wondering if we made a mistake. He says UMD is just a GameCube disc with a case around it. Suckers. Ha ha ha. He does like a laughing emoji. I'm like,
I mean, they are different sizes, but he's not wrong. UMD is actually like the child of the GameCube disc, because they hold the same amount of data.
That's impressive,
GameCube holds 1.5 gigs.
That's impressive because UMD is smaller. So that is kind of impressive.
And
that
UMD
can hold
holds 1.5 gigs.
Wow.
So he's not wrong. Yeah. So I'll have to give it to him. I know you meant it in an insulting way, Kittens, but you actually said a scientific fact. I don't know if you knew or not. So take that. You made yourself look smart guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out PSP, man. Love it.
He says he meant it as jokes. We know, kids. You're all good.
Of course.
But I mean, GameCube was amazing as well. Like, honestly.
Oh, don't get me started. It's over there right now. It's hooked up.
Let's just clear the air right here. Like, I just like tiny things. You know? Tiny things they're cute. They're cool. And especially like old things too, like was so much more tactile. Like, I talked about the PSP, even the GameCube, like the sound that like popping the disc into like the what do you call
the tray?
The post, the tray, whatever it is, like the little pop, and then the lid closing, like all of it sounds and feels so fantastic.
Tell me you weren't one of those maniacs that just pulled discs out of a GameCube. You press the button, right?
I think, yeah.
In the middle of the spindle in the GameCube, there's a little button that says push.
Yeah.
Okay. Because apparently there were people who would just go in and take the disc out.
Just manhandle the thing.
And that's why you see some GameCube games where the middle of it is cracked, is because people just take them out like that instead of releasing it.
I had that happen a lot with PlayStation 1 disc. PlayStation 1 also had the little like spindle, like click, you pop it on, pop it off, but it didn't have the button to release it. Like, you had to just manhandle and pop it off. And I remember we had a couple discs where the centers would pop out, and the way we fixed it which was genius. I don't know how my dad got it to work. He popped we had like back in the day, for all you youngins, here's a little history lesson. We used to burn CDs for music. You download it or rip it, and then you would reburn it in your own little playlists and mixes. And you would actually have a stack of like 100 or like 200. Like, you buy like giant stacks of blank CDs that you write to, and I remember he took one of those, popped the center out of it, like broke one of the blank ones, and then like just super glued it to the middle of a PS1 disc where it was already broken. And it worked perfectly. Like, in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, you'd think it would like change the distance from the laser and it would throw it off or something. Like, no, like it worked like almost perfectly. As far as I knew, like, I don't think that game ever had any major issues, but it looked horrendous. Cause like, you pop it up and look at it. It is like super glue got all over. Like, it was not pretty. It was an ugly disc, let me tell you. But it worked. Like, this just popped in and out. No big deal. It was great.
You can't argue with results.
Fantastic. But yeah, GameCube got smart when they're like, oh, maybe we should put a button.
Let people take it out, or help people to take it out, actually.
You don't just rip it out of there. Oh boy. Did you ask me what I've been playing?
I sure did.
I don't remember. Okay. I'm going to surprise everyone and say that I did not play more Yakuza 0, which is crazy because I was loving it so much before and was so deep into it. But I don't think I've fallen off completely, like I was talking about with Hollow Knight earlier. Like, I think I'm still in the mindset, but I've just been so exhausted, specifically these last 2 weeks. Like, work has just been
real.
So busy. Like, I worked overtime like 3 or 4 days last week, like working like 9 more hour days. And So it was one of those things where I'm like coming home. I played very little video games, except for basically just on the weekends, maybe for like an hour, if that. So I played like in the last 2 weeks, maybe 2 hours of video games, maybe 3. And all of those where I jumped into Death Stranding Director's Cut. So I've been getting the hankering of it for it because our friends over at Super NPC Radio are currently doing their book club on their Patreon on Death Stranding. And let me tell you, it's been a blast listening to those episodes. I'm loving hearing their takes because most of them hadn't played it before, or if they had, they played very little and then fell off of it really fast. And so like now hearing them get into it and like actually try it, give it, like not just like, oh, okay, I'm sick of this and moving on, like really giving the old college try.
Mm-hmm.
It's been just so invigorating for me. Like, it's just so exciting because hearing their turn, like Connor is so into it. And a couple of the other guys are just like, okay, I'm actually really liking this game. Like I'm like dreaming about this game and excited to get back into it. And it's like, yes,
dreaming about
finally.
it. Okay.
Finally, we got some new people in here because I feel like it's old enough game now where people are just like, I'm not gonna deal with it or whatever. But people are a little bit curious because the second one's coming out soon, so they're kind of like, oh, what was the first one about? It just seems so wild and bonkers crazy, and it is. I'm not gonna deny it's a crazy game, but when I'm so exhausted, it sounds ironic because like. But maybe not. I don't know. It's honestly like peaceful to just go on like a little like virtual walk essentially. Like, all right, like there's really very minimal effort, at least earlier on in the game. Later on in the game, it gets trickier with some of the deliveries. Like you gotta think and plan a little more. But earlier on, it really is just like, I'm just gonna pick up these boxes and walk across this landscape and try to get across these rivers and up this mountain and then drop off package and then take more back where I came from, back, forth, up and down. It just feels so good. So shout out to Super NPC Radio for doing their book club and getting me hyped about it again. And then shout out to working overtime to where it's so exhausted. That's all I can handle mentally. It's just walking around in a virtual landscape with calming, soothing music, low roar in the background, so it's good. Kittens makes a point. Death Stranding was interesting, good, until you could get vehicles. I agree with you to an extent, but I feel like there's also some places where I couldn't imagine doing the deliveries without the vehicles. Like, I think you're right. Like, I think I do wish there were times, and I guess any delivery you could do with no vehicle. You don't have to use the vehicles. But I'm also glad they're there because there's some where it's like, oh, if I didn't have this, like this would suck so bad. So, but that I think that is my favorite part of it is just the walking, like taking your time, getting through it, not damaging the items, not just going gung ho across the country. But I see why they had to add it because obviously they're trying to progress the plot along. They're like, okay, and I think it's not a bad thing to have in there because I think more people, there's already a lot of people who fell off the game pretty early. I think more people would have fallen off if there weren't vehicles because people have been like, all right, I'm sick of this. I'm so sick of this walking. Give me something, let's speed up this delivery aspect so I can get to the more story. Because really the vehicles come more into play once the story started to pick up more later on in the game. So, but so yeah, I agree with you. The vehicles can get samey and boring, but I also feel like, in my opinion, they did a decent job with starting to pace up the story when that happened. So it kind of helps balance it a little bit. But the
game's at its best when you don't use a car, though, right? Honestly.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, again, for heavy deliveries and stuff like that, you have to, but if it's lighter stuff, there is times where I'd be like, no, I'm going to hoof it on my film 2 feet today. I'm just going to go for it. So good stuff. Go check out Death Stranding. One of the greatest games of all time. If you've never heard of it, I don't know. Some people have never heard of it, but around here, you'd be crazy. All right. That's all I got for you guys this week. Thank you all so much for listening and watching. We appreciate each and every one of you, whether you're listening later on podcast services, watching later on YouTube, or watching live on youtube.com/SuperGamerBoys or twitch.tv/TheSuperGamerBoys. We appreciate you. Make sure to also support us at patreon.com/SuperGamerBoys if you want to get these episodes early and free. Maybe you missed the live stream Monday, you can't wait until Wednesday, or you just love what we do and you want to help support us. You can get those episodes early and ad free, like I mentioned earlier. So remember, check that out. Patreon.com/SuperGamerBoys. Links will be in the show description. If you are watching here on YouTube or listening on podcast apps, click on it, check it out, throw us some support. We'd very much appreciate that. You can also support us over at sgbstore.com. Buy some sweet merch. Like I mentioned earlier, it's getting chilly out there. Go pick up your Super Gamer Boys mug. Go pick up a Super Gamer Boys sweater. Get cozy, get warm, and dress up in style. I honestly love my classic sweat, my crew neck that I have with like our classic logo on the front. One of my favorite sweaters of all time. It's so comfy, so cozy, and I think it looks cool. So go check it out.
That's my problem is I overwear stuff so much that I don't have any more of it because it's all gone and tattered up.
Yeah,
and that's something I gotta. Maybe I should like buy just exponentially more clothes and just rotate it every day. I don't know.
I do need to replace my Super Gamer Boys crew neck because I just had the one and I wore it so often like the last few years. It's like it's all stretched out in the neck and everything. It's like, all right, now it's time. I need to replace this thing. But if you don't mind, rate and review us where you can. If you're listening on Apple Podcast or on Spotify, throw us up 5 stars. We'd appreciate it. Leave a little review. That helps people on those podcast apps check us out. When they see there's good reviews, then they'll come a listening. So think about dropping some reviews for us if you can, please. Shout out to Jack, Sriracha, Yate, and DJ Trooz for allowing us to use their music on the show. Remember, tonight we've been listening to Jack, Sriracha, and Yate. Go find them on Apple Music and Spotify. Links will be in the show description. You find us during the week over at supergamerboys.com, Twitter and Instagram at supergamerboys. I am on Twitter and Instagram at gmorlang. Adrian, where can the fine folks find you at?
You can find me any and everywhere on this here internet at Homeboy, HOLMBOI.
All right, and that's it. So, Adrian, you mind taking us out?
I think I can manage that. Folks, thank you for hanging out with us for another episode of the Super Gamer Boys podcast. As always, we appreciate any and all forms of support that you guys choose to show us, whether it's hanging out here with us in the live stream, catching the VOD later on in the week, buying merch, telling a friend, whatever you can do. It helps us to keep the lights on here and to be able to do what we want to do best, which is talk about video games as an excuse to hang out. And until next time, we'll see you soon. We are the Super Gamer Boys.
And we'll catch you on the flippity flop.
So do you want to talk about how you misspoke throat for scrote?
Nope.